All right, so now what we're going to do is create a custom notify reducer and notify action. So we're basically adding to our state. We have firebase firestore, which comes from React Redux firebase, but we're going to also add in here a notify object, which will have a message and a message type, okay, if we want to send a message and basically alert the user. So what we have to do is create some folders and files. So I'm going to close these up, and I'm going to create inside source. I'm going to create a folder called reducers, and I'm also going to create a folder called actions. Okay, so in actions we're going to have a types file, so I'm going to create types.js, and we're just going to for now have one action type called notify user. So I'm going to say export const notify underscore user, and we're going to set that equal to the string of notify underscore user, and save that, close that up, and then let's open up what do I want to do next? Let's open up our reducer, or create our reducer actually. So we have to create a file in here called notify reducer.js. Now, whenever we create a reducer, we have to add it to the combined reducers, which we have in our store.js, which is, where is it? Right here. So root reducer, and then we have combined reducers. So basically each piece of our state will go in here. We have firebase and firestore. Now let's bring in our reducers. And remember, I put this to do right here. So we want to import what is it? Notify reducer, and it's going to be from, let's see, where are we? We want to go ./reducers/ notify reducer, and then we just want to pass it into right here. Put a comma, and we'll call this notify and set it to notify reducer, and save that, and then we can close the store up. So inside notify reducer, we're not doing that much here. We're just going to basically have one action, and that's to notify the user. So let's bring in the type we created. So we'll say import notify. I should be doing, I always forget, but I should be doing IMP tab. So let's import from /actions/types. And what we want to import is notify user. Okay, so let's create our initial state for this reducer, which is going to be an object, and it's going to have two things. It's going to have a message, which will be null by default, and it's going to have a message type, which will also be null by default. Message type meaning that, do we want this to be an error or a success message? Because the alert component we create, the color will be different based on the type. Okay, next thing we want to do is export default function, and this is going to take in our state, which is equal to the initial state above, and then an action. Okay, and then what we want to do is the action, which will come from the actions file, we want to check the type. So we're going to put a switch here, and we want to check the action, which is an object. We want to check the type, and let's say case, if the type is notify user, then we want to return our state. We want the state that's there, because remember it's immutable, so we're going to use the spread operator here, and whatever's in the state, and then we're going to add to it by saying message, set that to action.message, whatever comes in through the action object, and then message type will be whatever is in action.message type. Okay, and then we just want a default case, so underneath this let's say default, and we just want to simply return the state. Okay, so that's our entire reducer. That's all we need. And now if we go to our Redux tools, and we go to state, we should now see notify, and we see our message and message type, which is null by default. So let's see, we're going to be implementing this into our login, but we want to output it into an alert component. Okay, so the alert component is going to be pretty simple. So let's just create that real quick. That's going to go inside of components and then inside of layout. So let's say new file, call it alert.js. Okay, and then let's create a functional component. So RFC tab if you have the extension. And then we're also going to need that, remember that class names package? We're going to use that as well. So let's import class names from class names, and then let's also bring in prop types. I don't know why I always forget to use the stupid shortcuts. All right, so instead of just exporting this here, let's give this a variable name. So we'll say alert equals, and then it's going to take in any props that's passed in, and then we're going to export it down here. Okay, so with functional components, we can take in props, and we're going to take in a message and a message type. So let's go down here and let's pull those out of the props. So we'll take the message that's passed in and the message type that's passed in from the props. And then in the render here, we want to say div and then class name, and the class name is going to be conditional based on what the type is. So we want to set it to class names, which will take in an object. Now every alert should have an alert class, so any default classes that you want to be on no matter what the case is, you can put here as a first parameter. So we want to put alert, because with Bootstrap, remember you want to put alert, and then you want like alert dash danger or success or something like that. But you have to have that initial alert class as well. So that's what that is. And then let's say we want the class to be alert dash success, which will make the background green if the message type is equal to success. Okay, so if we pass in success, and then we want the class of alert dash danger, we want that if the message type is equal to error. So then it will be red. All right, and then inside the div, we just simply want the message that's passed in. And then let's just do our prop types real quick. So alert dot prop types equals, and then we have message, which is a string. Whoops, prop types dot string dot is required, and then let's do message type prop types dot string dot is required. Okay, so that should do it for our alert component. I'll save it prettier. We'll just format it a little nicer. And then we'll close that up. Let's go to our actions. Let's see, actions, and let's create a notify actions.js. Okay, and then this is going to be pretty simple. We're going to import from /types, and we want to bring in notify user, and then we're just going to export const notify user. That's going to be the name of the function. So notify user, and we're going to use an arrow function. And as far as parameters go, it's going to take in a message and a message type. So message and message type. And then all we need to do is return to the reducer the type, which will be notify user, and then send the message, which will be equal to whatever the message is passed in. Now, since these two, the key and the value, are the same, we don't need to do that. We can just say message. Same thing with message type. Oops. Okay, so these are coming in through here, which we'll call in our component. And then this is being sent to the reducer, so it's gonna hit this case, notify user, and then the state will be updated with whatever the message is and whatever the message type is. That comes in through the action. Okay, so hopefully you can see how that works. Yeah, so that should be good. Actually, since this is an arrow function and we're just returning this, we don't even need to do the return, and we don't need these right here. We can just simply return that like that. That should work. Looks a little weird, but I like it like that, but prettier fixes it. Anyway, that should work, or you can leave it. You can leave the return if you want. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I don't know if I want. I don't want to do that. That looks weird. Let's just keep it like that. So now let's go to our login component, because that's where we actually want to implement this. That's the whole purpose of this. So we'll go to, where is it? Auth login.js. And remember up here we commented these two out. We're going to need these now. So compose and connect, because we need connect because we need to get the notify state. That's a piece of state now in our application. If we look down here, that's that state we need to get into login. So since we're using Firebase Connect as well, we also need compose, so we can use both. All right, so let's go down here. And what do we want to do here? Let's see. We're just gonna get rid of that, and we want export default compose, and let's make sure we put in our login right here, the name of the component, and we want Firebase Connect, and then we also want connect. Okay, and then connect is going to take in an arrow function. Actually, we want that to go to parentheses and then curly braces. And connect takes in state and props. And we want to set notify to state.notify. Okay, we're getting it from the Redux state. And then we're assigning it to a prop, to this.props.notify. Okay, now we also have an action that we need to bring in, that notify user. So let's go up here and let's bring that in. Let's say import notify user from is it, yeah, // actually it's two // /action / notify actions. So we're bringing in notify user. We also want to bring in our alert component that we created. So let's say import alert from // layout / alert. Okay, now we want to go down to where we submit. So this on submit right here, when we have a wrong credential, before we were just doing our regular alert, but now we want to notify user. So we can access it with this.props.notify user, because actions are available in your props, but I don't want to have to do this.props, so let's just pull it out up here. So we'll just say notify user, and then we can get rid of this.props. Okay, and then remember, it takes in a message and a message type. We already have a message going in, that's fine. So the type that we want is going to be error. Okay, now that's all well and good, but it has no place to actually show us the message. it will be put into the state. Hopefully we can actually test that out just using Redux tools. So if we let's see, if we go and we try to enter something here that doesn't work and log in, let's see what happened. Notify user is not a function. Why not? Notify user. We're bringing in explore const. Should be. When you have an action, it has to be added down here as a property. So right here, we're going to put a comma, and then any actions go in here, like that. Okay, let's try it again. So put something in here. It doesn't work, and there we go. If we look at the diff of the state, we have the message and we have the message type, which is an error. So that's exactly what should be happening. Now we want to get this out on the screen inside of our alert component. So let's go back, and where do we want to put this? Let's put this right in the card body div. Now we only want this to show if there's a message. So the way that we can do that is we can get the message and the message type from notify, because that's now a prop, right? This .props.notify has .message and .message type. So let's pull the message and message type outside of that. So we'll go right in the render, and we'll say const message and message type. We want to pull that out of this .props.notify. Okay, we want to pull that out of the notify state, these values. And then we want to check for a message. We want to see if there's a message. So we'll put an expression in here, and we'll say, if there's a message, then let's do something else, then it's null. So in here is where we want to put our alert component, like that. But we want to pass in some properties. Message equals message, message type equals message type. So let's save. Let's go back, and nothing should show if we don't get it, if we're not logging in and getting it wrong. But if we do that and we log in, cannot read message of undefined. Let's see, where did I mess up? So pulling this out, message and message type from this .props.notify, which should work. Let me see that error again. Cannot read message of undefined. It's in our alert. Let's check our alert. So props come in here. Equal. Oh, I put this .props. When we're using a functional component, props is just entered as props. There's no this. I don't know why I did that. This is if it's a class. So let's save that. That should work. So let's try it again. Get the wrong login. There we go. Invalid login credentials. So we've done quite a bit here. We've caused the we called the notify user action when this isn't wrong, and then from there it contacted the reducer and sent over the message and the message type, and then that got put in the state, and then that got sent down to the alert component and got output into the form, into the UI. So we did a lot just to get this little message. But now whenever we want to put out messages, we can do what we did with this component. We can bring in the notify state, and we can call notify user and then put in the alert wherever we want. Okay, so it's not just for this component, it's wherever we want to put these little messages. All right, so I think that's going to be it, guys. This was a pretty long video. In the next video, what are we going to do in the next video? Now that we've done this, I think we're going to start working on our settings, because we want to be able to we want a settings page so that we can disable the balance on the add and edit form, and then we also want to be able to enable and disable registration. So we're going to have a settings reducer, settings action file, just like we did with the notify. Okay, and we're also going to be working with local storage. That's where the settings will be held. So we'll be doing that next.